I remember this used to be an end-of-the-year game, a big rivalry game. It's week 1. Does that tell you something about these two programs? Or Matt, are they down? Is that why it's the beginning of the year now instead of the end of the year thing?
Well, actually, it's a more competitive series than it used to be. It used to be a Colorado domination. I think this used to be right at the head of the schedule, and that's part of the reason why it's there, because Colorado looked at it as a guaranteed win. Not necessarily so the last few years, but Colorado did get the win this time around, and it's just with the more importance on the conference matchups, I think that's overshadowed it, especially it started when they were in the Big 12, and it certainly, I think, is extended now that they're in the Pac-12 with those games carry more weight, and then obviously making space just in case they possibly somehow, some way make the Pac-12 championship game, which probably we know is not going to happen. But nonetheless, that's why the rivalry game is so early, because these are indeed two non-conference teams.
All right, guys, we're going to have to I apologize, I don't mean to cut you off there, man, but we've got to move on to our next segment. The clock is not our friend. Matthew Embury, where can people find your work and your masterpieces, sir?
Mattembury. Not a lot of stuff going on today. Specifically, of course, the focus gets underway on Monday at 4 p.m. We start our coverage of Notre Dame Louisville then, and we go all the way through, possibly as early as Tuesday morning, 2 a.m., with our official Notre Dame football postgame show with Sean Stiers and Reggie Brooks. And looking forward to a very interesting season here in South Bend. And tune in every Saturday. Assuming the games aren't too early, I'll try to be on as many times as I can.
Looking forward to it. Matthew Embury, WSBT up in South Bend, joins us for some college football talk, talking about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Rick Riggin, our official college football contributor, is on board with us, playing co-pilot today. We'll be right back. Myself, Rick Riggin, Matthew Hicks, and Derek Schultz from the Query and Schultz Show joins us to talk about a very big story here in Indianapolis.
The Air National Guard is a reserve component of the United States Air Force and serves alongside active-duty Air Force members in times of a national crisis. In addition, the Air Guard serves the state and local community in a wide range of capacities. The reason people join the Air Guard is as diverse as our members and includes such reasons as a deep desire to serve their country, money for college, travel, new job skills, and the pride that goes along with belonging to the greatest military organization in the world. I joined because I felt a calling to serve my country, but I didn't want to be far away from my family, so the Indiana Air National Guard was a perfect fit for me. With over 95 different career opportunities to choose from and 100% paid college tuition to any state-funded college, why not give us a call? Call 1-800-841-3103 or visit online at goang.com to find out more. Again, that's 1-800-841-3103. The Air National Guard, guarding America, defending freedom.
right, welcome back to the Balance. That's been the theme song all week long here in the city of Indianapolis. The biggest sports story to break happened right here in the midst of our city here in Indianapolis, where we're located. I know we're a national show, but hey, all the national media has been talking about this big story. Andrew Luck decides to retire. Joining us today is, of course, Riggin playing co-pilot with us today, our official college football contributor, Matthew Hicks, and also Derek Schultz of the Schultz and Query Show on 1260 AM and Fox Sports on iHeart Radio. We'll start with you, Derek. I know that you guys have been right in the thick of this. Well, first of all, we want to talk about the knee-jerk reactions with the booing of the crowd. I think that Adam could have broke this story a little bit later, but, hey, we're all in media. If we get a story, you got to run with it, especially something like this. Obviously had it verified because Adam's not a guy that would have gotten it wrong. Derek, but let's unpack this. Can we continue to regurgitate what we've been talking about here in the city all week long? Derek, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's funny because you're asking me to unpack it, and it's almost like you've got 7 suitcases to unpack. It's not just one, right? It's the Schefter tweet. It's the retirement decision itself. It's where do the Colts go from here? It's the expectations around Jacoby Brissett. You've got a whole dolly worth of suitcases to kind of go through and sift through. And I think everyone in this city has really been doing that for the last 6-7 days since this news shockingly broke a week ago. But I think the initial reaction was shock. I don't think the R word in retirement was thrown around at all with this injury. Remember, this started as a calf strain that was going to keep him out of minicamp and that portion of OTAs, but he was supposed to be good to go for training camp. And he was originally. He participated on the second day, did 7-on-7 and 11-on-11. It looked fine. It looked like his old self. And then Monday, a couple of days later, he shuts it all down, and then we never end up seeing Andrew Luck on a practice field or in a game again. And it's pretty hard to think that was the last time that we'll see him out there in any sort of official capacity. But I think really what it was, Tom, was it wasn't about the severity of the calf or the ankle or whatever he was dealing with, because we don't really know. I don't think the Colts really know. I'm not sure if Luck really knows what it was. I think it was the fact that this was the last injury in a long line of injuries, and he didn't want to play through it again. He didn't want to go through what he did in 2016, playing with a torn shoulder, where he participated and started in all 16 games. He didn't want to go through 2017, where he has surgery right after the 2016 season ends, and it just never gets better. He tries to rehab it. They have to re-shut him down again that October, and that season ended up being a lost year where he went down kind of a dark path mentally because of depression and all of that, and letting down his teammates and not being able to be up to snuff physically. And these are his own words. I don't think this is exactly solving the Rubik's Cube here to figure out that Andrew Luck promised himself that he wasn't going to go through 2017 again. And who knows what this injury was, but let's say that you soldier through it and you shoot yourself up with painkillers or do whatever you have to do, and you go out there and you play through pain against the Chargers, and then the pain never really goes away. You play through it in September, October, November, December. Then what? Another season, fourth straight, playing through pain or playing through some sort of injury. He just didn't want to go through it anymore. And I think you can understand what he said in his retirement press conference made a lot of sense. It doesn't make the retirement itself any less shocking, but the explanation, I think, made sense to people that have an understanding of what he's put his body through the last 4 years.
You're absolutely right, and I'm a big fan. I was at the game, but I'm not one of those diehard fans of preseason game. Nobody was on the field, to speak of. So me and my friend, we'd left, but we were having Uber issues. By the way, guys, don't ever try to catch an Uber when you got bikes on Meridian, because it's like 1 million motorcycles, and so every road is closed down. So we ended up having to walk down by the Slippery Noodle and catch our Uber there. And some body walked by in a Bears jersey. Hey, look, just retired. Of course, you think, okay, they're just talking smack. They're drunk. And so I was telling my friend, and she's like, yeah, that's crap. And about that time, my phone started going ding, 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 ding. And then she looked at her phone. She goes, I think this is for real. Matthew Hicks, what are your thoughts? Thanks for joining us. Joining this is Matthew Hicks, who's been around the local media for a long time. I know you were over there at 1070 with Jersey Johnny for many years. What are your thoughts as you unpack or heard this story about Andrew Luck?
Well, and good morning. It's kind of an interesting situation because Saturday I'm a season ticket holder, have been for like 16 years, and I'm the same way with preseason. I go to some of them. I make sure the tickets get used. So in this instance, my wife and her dad were going to go to the game. A friend of mine calls at like 2:00, and by the way, this friend is like not connected with the Colts at all. And he says, "Hey, I heard this crazy rumor," and I'm not. My hand to God, at 2:00 in the afternoon on Saturday, is Luck going to retire tomorrow? And I said, oh, gosh, no, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. No. And then sure enough, that night, the news breaks that he's retiring. And similar situation, I'm actually putting the kids to bed, and my phone, I can hear it from upstairs just blowing up. So, I think it's so easy to speculate in situations like this. Luck is a pretty private guy. Obviously, the way he's handled his injuries in the past and the way he's handled this one in particular, it's so easy to speculate. But I think you have to give him the benefit of the doubt of just taking him for his word. And I'm choosing to do that in this situation as well. This is a guy that has been through a lot mentally, even almost even more mentally than he has physically. I mean, obviously, some severe injuries, and I think we kind of forget the dude lacerated his kidney. I'm trying to remember there was like a Titans quarterback that did that, and he retired. Like that was it. So I don't think it can be stated. It can be overstated at all. The guy's been through a lot. If he wants to walk away at 29, more power to him. I think he's got a lot of good left to do away from football. And I'm kind of in that camp, too, that, no, in a year or two I wouldn't be stunned if suddenly he was playing again. But that's obviously a conversation for way further down the road at this point. He's retired, and I think the Colts are gonna do what they can to celebrate his, albeit limited, career. And we move on. And, boy, what an opportunity for Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, it's his team. Rick Riggin sitting in the co-pilot's chair with us today. Rick, I know you're our official college football contributor, but you sent me. You were one of the dings on my phone. You're like, did you hear this? And that's when we started realizing that it was the real deal. But what are your thoughts about the fan reactions, knee-jerk reaction? Maybe it is what it is, but what are your thoughts about how this came out and how it broke?
Yeah, I don't know who pissed off Adam Schefter because he's the one that really broke the news on social media. And I do think these are reactions. It wasn't a great reaction, but I guess I understand it at the same time because you're expecting the Colts to do really good things this year. You're expecting Andrew Luck to be healthy. I said on the show a couple weeks ago that it was weird how the location of his injury just kept moving. It was a calf, possibly an Achilles, then it was a bone problem, then a high ankle sprain. I never thought retirement was like an idea that would come out, but I did think that the possibility existed where he would be out for a half a season or maybe just the whole season, but never thought that retirement would be the case. But I do think the reaction was not great. It's a knee-jerk reaction. I bet if local fans could take that back, they would. Because of what he's gone through, what Derek and Matt talked about through his career, the lacerated kidney, the shoulder issue. Brixton and the coaching staff from a couple of years ago built a line around him that got him killed for a couple of straight seasons. So he went through a lot. I think it was a great decision by him, actually, logical decision. Get your mind, get your body right. He's obviously going through some sort of depression over this. He can't enjoy life how he wants to enjoy it. So I think it was a great decision by him to just step away. I know the idea out there is maybe take a year off and decide to come back. I don't think so at all. If football's put his body and his mind through this, then why go back to it? So I wish him all the best, and I think it was a good logical decision by him.
We'll see what happens here, and we're going to get into this breaking story that's just now breaking, but we want to make sure that we put it out there, and we'll talk a bit more about it in the bottom of our segment here with Ed Kracz, beat writer of the Philadelphia Eagles, and Mo from the BS Sports Show, our official